Let's talk about the buyback principle. Can you break that down for the audience, exactly what that means?
Yeah, it's some of the stuff I'm going to say is pretty controversial.
You don't have to tell me, because I've been saying a lot of the same shit, and I get clowned mercilessly. Motherfuckers be making reaction videos talking about, oh, I'll just pay someone to shit for me. I'm like, you don't get it.
You sound like my wife.
Yeah.
You're like, you'd pay somebody to wipe your butt if you could. I'm like, babes, it ain't that bad. Close to it, though. Yeah.
And so I feel vindicated. For sure. You know, hearing you say it, and when you came out with the book, and that's one of the things I was like, oh man, this is amazing. So if you can explain it in your words.
Yeah. So the buyback principle states that we don't hire people to grow our companies. We hire people to buy back our time. Because if you do the second, you get the first. You grow your business. If you do the first, you don't get the second. Unfortunately, the movement I'm creating in the market of entrepreneurship is I want to teach entrepreneurs how to build companies they don't grow to hate. Say that again. I want every business owner, every entrepreneur, every CEO, every freelancer to build your dream and not grow to hate it.
Yeah.
Because that takes out most entrepreneurs. Not the fact that the market wasn't there. It was. Not the fact that they couldn't create value. They could.
Yeah.
They just built it in a way that was heavy and it sucked.
Yeah.
So then they decide to shut it down to go do some other business thinking that that's going to fix it. And the problem is that it's not the business. It's the way they show up in the business.
I feel like, I don't know, at least once a week, I have to convince some entrepreneur who comes to me not to start another business. I feel like it's almost every week I have to convince them not to start a new business. It's just
go deeper on themselves.
Yeah,
because I call it the complexity ceiling, right? I had a friend of mine come to me one time and he's like, doing this business, and for whatever reason, he's like stressed out. It's not working. He's got a dozen employees. And he's thinking, well, I'm going to go do this other thing. It's kind of like this, but it's different.
Yeah.
And then I only need 3 employees and I'll make more profit. And I go, here's the deal. You discovered your complexity ceiling. It's you're feeling it right now. In the book, I call it the pain line.
Yeah.
And now you got a decision. You can either shut this thing down, go start from scratch. 3 or 4 years, maybe 5 years, it'll take you to get to the same place you're at now, and you're going to feel the exact same way. It's not the business, it's how you're showing up in the business. It's your beliefs, it's your principles, it's your strategies. So whether it's $100K a year or $300K a year or $1 million a year or $3 million a year, they usually go in factors of 1s and 3s. You will figure out what your next level of complexity is that you can handle.
Yeah.
And if you don't decide to grow through it, you're going to get stopped by it.
Every level's a new devil.
New levels, new devils. And that to me is like the most beautiful part about entrepreneurship is that it is the ultimate personal development program.
It forces you to grow every level.
And unlimited comp structure. That's the coolest part. It's a forcing function for you to focus on where you're missing something.
Yeah.
And if you decide to focus on you, it has a unlimited upside.
Okay. Yeah.
There's no limit to how much you can make in entrepreneurship.
In any business.
Anything.
I know a motherfucker who just does roofing. Now I don't know what roofing really means, because I never lived in a house that had a roof. I only lived in apartments, so I don't really know what it means. Presumably, he's doing something with the tops of homes.
There's shingles.
He makes like $100 million at his roofing company.
Yeah.
Right? You can take the boring and shit.
Dude, I coach a 9-figure CEO and he does garage doors.
Garage door.
Dude, you can do electrical, plumbing, restaurants. Like every model has an example to point to say this is a $1 billion valuation company.
Yeah.
There's no like, even in fitness, there's Planet,
for sure.
Anytime Fit, whatever you want to call it. But it's the decision of the CEO, the entrepreneur, to decide to push through those new levels.
Yeah.
To face the devil, to decide like, this is my area that I got to go master. And without creating the space, right? That's why I talk about the buyback loop. If you don't have the time to go become the person, because you're always bogged down by the noise and the pressure and the got a second minutes in your inbox and your calendar, then you just won't have the time to become that person.
And if you don't buy back your time, then you do have the cap. When you say there's not limit, you put the cap on. Can I show you something?
Yeah.
So
hit me.
So this is something that I when I'm teaching my students, because I have a business, I teach people how to start their online fitness business. Yeah. Sometimes they have to go to the next level. They hit that cap. And I always give this example, and this is a presentation that I give them. And I was at this place where I was doing everything by myself, and I was making, about $100K a year. I was working 80 hours a week, right? So my hourly rate, $25 an hour, right?
Yeah.
But then you have two choices. You can work more, or I can pay someone, I can buy back my time.
There we go.
I hired a coach to coach the clients, which would allow me to spend more time on sales and marketing. The part I actually really like. I mean, I like coaching people, but sales and marketing is my shit. I've been doing that since before I was a trainer, right? And I'd be able to take on more clients. And I was like, okay, how much is the average personal trainer make? Boom. All right, we got that number, $1,000 a week, but they got to be in the gym fucking around and shit. And I knew there would be somebody who would be happy to do this at home.
Yeah.
But they were able to do it full time.
Yeah.
Right? Where I was training the clients part-time because I was doing the sales and marketing.
So the client gets a better experience.
They get a better experience and you can take on more clients, right? So we were able to double 2x the amount of clients we had, right? This is just in the beginning with one coach, gross income, $4,000, right? Because, I spent all my time on sales and marketing and filled up his calendar.
Yeah.
And the coach cost $500. This is a week. So net profit
per week.
Yeah, per week.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then my hourly rate went up. That's the most important part.
That's key.
Because that's the whole game. Raising your hourly rate.
Yeah, I call it your buyback rate.
Yeah, tell me more about that. Let's talk about that.
Buyback rate is essentially what amount of money should you be spending to buy back an hour.
Yeah.
And the way I calculate it is you take your income, if you're a freelancer and you make 100 grand, it's 100 grand, right? And then you divide it by 2,000 hours a year is the average from somebody works. But then you want to only buy back for a quarter of that so that you're still making profit. See, a lot of people make the mistake of hiring their first person. If they have like a logo design shop and they're a freelancer, they hire another logo designer.
Yeah.
Right? And even in your case, you kind of did this with the coach. You hired somebody to do the thing you were doing.
Yeah.
If you look at the replacement ladder in the book.
I was just trying to figure it out.
But you got there on your own. The tweak would be start with the administrative tasks.
Yo, so Dan, let me tell you something. That was just for that presentation. In real life, it started before that. Because how do you work 80 hours a week if you gotta do grocery shopping, do your own cooking, right? So this is where I get the pushback because people kind of understand this in business, but they don't understand it in life. So I'm just thinking about in your life, you probably have to get groceries, right? You probably have to clean. You probably have to cook and laundry and a bunch of other shit that I forgot
Run
about.
errands.
Yeah, errands,
Go to the DMV.
But it's like, I realized, oh, wait a minute, it's only a little bit more to pay someone to do my groceries. But I buy back all that time. To clean my apartment, I could go on TaskRabbit and find someone to do it for less than my hourly rate. If I work during that time, it's a net positive, right?
Yeah.
The same with cooking. I was like, okay. It got to the point where it's like maybe ordering food makes more sense. And laundry was actually the first one.
Yeah, that's the easy one. Wash and fold.
And that's how I was able to work 80 hours
That's
a week.
fascinating. So most people don't go to the home first.
I went to the home first.
I love that because if you read my book, I actually saved that for the last chapter.
I saw you did that. Yeah.
Because I wasn't sure if people were ready to hear it early because they can't correlate home stuff to revenue stuff.
Yeah.
But you were smart enough to say, like, I'm not going to do these 10 hour, 15 hours of stuff at home.
Yeah.
And when I'm not doing that, I'm going to honor the calendar and work.
Yeah.
See, most people can't do that. So they're saying, hey, I'm only working 50 hours a week. So they got to make the productivity happen in those 50 hours.
Yeah.
I'm like you, man. I went straight to the house stuff.
Yeah. It just made sense to me, because I needed to make more money, right, at that time. And it was before I was thinking that I hadn't even thought about hiring someone in my business. I thought I had to do everything, what you talk about in your book, right? I thought I had to do everything. So I was like, all right, what can I free up? And it was the domestic shit. So I got to the point where I was doing no domestic shit. It was freed up a ton of time. You know what I'm saying? And that's what people make fun of me. Oh, you gonna pay somebody to wipe your butt? Like I hear it, I'm like, yo, man, nah, man, you guys pay people to do stuff to your butt. Me, that's okay, right? That's fine. But that's all right. You do whatever you want, man. This is not the 90s. You can love whoever you want. It's not Hammer time. You can do whatever you want. But for me, I only paid people to do the stuff that I didn't want to do. I think that's the case. Some people love cooking. If I loved cooking, maybe I keep it.
Yeah.
I don't.
I just think at the end of the day, there are things that you could easily, because it's also easily pay somebody. It's easy to say hey, I'm not a professional house cleaner. I'm going to hire somebody and they're probably going to clean better than I'm doing.
And they do it better.
What a crazy idea.
They do it better.
Yeah. Or a chef to do meal prep so that I don't have to do it and they understand the seasoning. Yeah. Yay. I think that part there is fascinating for me because I call it the house manager. So even all those roles, when we start, sometimes we start with part-time people. Yeah. But when you can get it to be a full-time dedicated role and that person is part of your team. So my house manager reports to my executive assistant.
Ooh.
And she has a team now because our lives are, but she manages all my real estate, all my vehicles, all my, literally,
executive assistant manages all that.
she reports into my executive assistant.
Oh, the house manager manages all
Yeah,
this.
Betty's our house manager. She manages what we call Family Inc. So if you think of it as a company, it even has its own P&L. So Betty manages the P&L of our personal life. But that's what happens when you have real estate portfolio and, a bunch of residential stuff. But she takes care of when does the passports expire? Credit cards, everything, running errands, paying bills, dealing with the lawn care people, dealing with snow removal, everything. Yeah. So that my wife and I can just be there for our kids. And we live in an affluent neighborhood, and other people don't have that in their home. And I'm like,
what are you doing?
What are you doing? And again, they're like, I don't mind doing it. It's like, cool, but you're not trying to increase the value in the world. A lot of people, especially my neighborhood, they're older. They're in what I call wealth preservation mode, right? They're not into wealth creation mode. Yeah. I will ever leave wealth creation mode. You know what I'm saying? You can hold me accountable to it. It'd be the weirdest moment when it's and that's why I think a lot of people shouldn't take advice from millionaires. Most millionaires get to $1 million and then, okay, let's save it. Let's not lose it. Let's protect it. It's what are you doing?
Fuck that.
Why'd you stop acting the way you used to act to make this in the first place? Let's get back to creating, because guess what? The skill is what we get to acquire. It's not the money.
I will never stop. But to your point, because I seen what happens when you stop. So man, I grew up in Southside Chicago. It's super rough neighborhood, and I didn't see my dad a lot, even though he lived with us, because he was grinding, trying to build his business, and it took him a long time. It probably took him 15 years for him to really start making progress. And that's when I got sent to military school, because I got in a lot of trouble, similar to you.
A little bit crazy,
nothing crazy, man. Just
whatever, setting off fireworks at school and shit.
Skipping school, fights, shootouts, normal stuff.
Normal stuff.
And
kids do.
And I got sent to military school, but man, towards the end, it really started to pick up. And by the time I graduated, he was making $3 million a year in 2000.
Yeah.
So that's like
10 or
about $8 or $10 million. Adjusted for inflation. He really came up.
Yeah.
But then he started indulging, because he was still a street dude. He never went to high school. Yeah. He dropped out. He was a Chicago street dude, right? And so he started indulging in it, and then he started picking up vices, and they took him down. He had lost it all by the time I was out of college, so I didn't even experience it. You know what I'm saying? I knew it happened from afar.
Yeah.
But I saw it. So what happens?
You saw the concept you hear often is that money just makes you more the person you are.
Yeah.
And that's why people are like, oh, money's the root of evil. It's no, evil's the root of all evil, ding dong. Yeah. It ain't the money. The money's an amplifier. It's like saying a fork is evil.
Yeah.
It can kill you and it can also feed you.
Exactly. That quote is wrong. The Bible says that love of money is the root of all evil.
There we go.
But the Bible also says in Ecclesiastes 10:19, but the Bible, the good book, says, drink is made for laughter, food is made for merry, but money solves all things. That's in the Bible, bro. Dude. Ecclesiastes 10:19.
Money solves all things. Right. That's like that quote that says that if you have a problem that can be solved with money, you don't have a problem.
Yeah, I think almost every problem is really a money problem in disguise, right? Because if you had enough money, almost everything is solvable, right?
Yeah.
Magic Johnson would be dead. Yeah. If he wasn't a multimillionaire, he would have died in the 90s like everyone else who caught that disease, But he can afford the best doctors, the best medicine, and now he's doing great.
Yeah. And that's why everybody should get rich.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Everybody should get rich. And this is the thing is the vices, I think this is the part that takes down a lot of people, right? That's why 5 time assassins, right in chapter 3, I start by talking about, look, you don't got to spend $1 to buy back your time. You just got to stop with these stupid behaviors, okay? Yeah. And the 5th one for me was the medicator. It's I used to drink, I used to do drugs, those things, if I didn't work through them and I became who I am today, wow, would I have made a mess. A massive mess.
No, from my dad, it was gambling.
Yeah. Oh,
it was gambling. It got him. For me, it was women.
Yeah.
At one point, then if I didn't really focus,
that's why that part in R&D and the thought repel.
Come on, man. This, you
the solution from your own pain.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm doing this. I do it for me. Until that's developed, I just got a crazy Dominican girlfriend, which is the equivalent. Everyone has a vice. The more you can eliminate those vices, the vices, I think they set a ceiling on how high you can.
Here's what I know. We all know who we admire. Mm-hmm. right? Like that's what I say. We want to become the person that we needed most in our darkest days. Like, I know what the best version of me. God created me in his image. And I don't know if I'll ever achieve that, but it's definitely a better version of me. Yeah. And there's never been a moment where I was indulging in a vice. Everything, even dude, food, sugar, gambling, video games, even social media, where if it became a negative impact to my life that I knew when I woke up the next day, I had regret. Yeah. That is a clear indication of where I can improve my life. Yeah. Like, people are like, oh, what should I do to improve my life? Very simple. Do you have anything you did yesterday you're not proud of?
Yeah.
Whatever's on that list, don't do it today. Yeah. Like, this is the ultimate, simplest betterment program in the world. Ask yourself, not proud of, what would you not feel like positive if you had to share with other people? Don't do that today.
You know what's fucked up, man? Sinister about it. Like, they have these regrets. They do these things they're not proud of, but it like stains your soul. Like, it colors your personality a little bit, you know? Yeah. The saddest, meanest people are the least proud of themselves. Yeah. It's something I've picked up on.
Yeah. I mean, Theo recently was he was interviewing Tony Robbins.
I didn't watch
it. Just came out, dude. It's great. And he does an intervention with him a bit because Theo kind of makes a comment quickly and says, like, I can't even allow myself to be proud of me. And he said that to Tony. So, you know, Tony's like, hey, let's talk about your emotional home. And I was like, uh-oh, Tony's getting it. Theo's getting it. It's about to happen. He's getting Tony'd. And, but it was beautiful to watch. Like, he admitted, like, if I slow down enough to allow myself to feel proud, I feel like, you know, I didn't earn it or I didn't deserve it or whatever it is. And I think that's, for what it's worth, like, I can just share my experience. Yeah. What I know is that every time I hit a level or a ceiling in my business, I needed to go look inward. The answers were always within. Yeah. They were always within. I used to think it was an achievement thing, hit the achievements, it didn't change anything. I used to thought it was a relationship, had a beautiful relationship, didn't change anything. And every time I hit a ceiling in my financial wealth, it was something I had to go ask myself, who do I need to become to overcome this? Yeah. Every time. There was no like program, pill, coach, all those things I leveraged.
They help,
right?
Yeah.
1,000%. Like, I needed direction, I needed guidance, but I already kind of knew that stuff. We were talking about that earlier. It's like sometimes you hire a coach not because you don't know what you got to do, because you need accountability. You need somebody else that you respect, that say things to you in a way that you're like, I've heard that before, but I don't think I was listening. Yeah. And that, to me, like, I have an unlimited budget for personal development. Like, I hire coaches all the time. Like, I remember we met, and that's what I like about you, because you're like, yo, Dan, what do you got? And I was like, this. You're like, I'm in. I'm like, for real? And you're like, yeah, bro, I don't care. Like,
we were still in Vegas.
Yeah, you're literally like, send me the link. I'm like, I just sent it on Instagram. So, but that, to me, that philosophy of saying, but what does that say about you, right? What does that say about me when I do that? It means I'm worth it. Yeah. Most people don't trust themselves. They never invest in themselves because they don't feel worth it. Well, you ain't going to build a business if you don't feel like you deserve it, because you'll never get a penny more than you'll ever get that you think you don't deserve. Like, dude, when people are like, you know, what do I need to do? I go, you already know what to do. If your hair was on fire, if somebody lit you on fire, you would do anything right now to put the fire out. Yeah. You're not acting that way to be successful. Yeah. So you already know how to put the fire out, how to stop with the vices, get to the gym, eat cleaner, follow through, start reading, feeding your mind. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I got nothing to tell you.
You know, and it's like a lot of the people I coach, especially you sometimes I can see like greatness in them, right? And all they really need to do is drop some of these vices. You know, because I noticed in my life,
vices gotta go.
I noticed in my life when I stopped doing recreational drugs, I used to smoke a lot of weed, and I started making more money when I stopped smoking weed. When I stopped drinking, I started making way more money.
It's crazy.
But it's like the girl thing, the women thing. It got more out of it. Like you said, money makes more. It got way more out of hand. Like I remember, you know, so I tracked my spending, right? And I remember 1 month, I was like, damn, I spent like $60,000 on women. Not like prostitutes.
Not paying them, but just
like, you know, man, hey man, look, you fly, this she bad, man, fly her here. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was a lot of women. I was going super hard.
Dude, when you decide to do something, Brandon, you do it at the highest level.
Because it wasn't even like buying them, right? It was like, how do I spend? Sometimes, hey man, you know what I'm saying? Trying to smash. She live over here. All right, let's go. I counted like dates.
Yeah.
You know, I counted flights, I counted hotel rooms, and the distraction, the time, right? But when I get a girlfriend, And I started making so much more money. Like, it's like a significant.
I honestly, like,
getting rid of the vices.
I had to tell the other day, you know, I don't know what compelled me. I was heading to the gym. I think somebody messaged me on Instagram and said, like, yo, what do I need to do to be successful?
Yeah.
And it occurred to me, it's not what you got to do.
It's what you got to stop.
It's what you got to stop doing. You got to create the space by saying no to be able to say yes to your dreams. Like, every yes is a no, and every no is a yes.
Yeah.
So you got to say no to the vices to say yes to your dreams.
Yeah.
And some people are like, I'll just cut back a little bit.
Nah.
I'm like, dude, if you could have cut back, you would have. So just, like, let it go.
Restraint is more difficult than abstinence.
No shit, because you're changing the identity. When I quit drinking 12 years ago, because my wife got pregnant, that was the catalyst for me.
Yeah.
She got pregnant. I was like, I'm not going to introduce this. I wanted to be a transcendent character in my family. I wanted to be a person who changed the lineage of my family tree.
Yeah.
And I knew that if I would have kept drinking, I would have propagated what I experienced. Okay, my mom was an alcoholic. I knew it was in my body. Like, I knew better.
Some of that, so a lot of addiction is, you know, there's a DNA component.
Hell yeah. So I decided to quit, and I will tell you, it was one of the most important decisions I ever made, man.
Yeah.
My boys got a better dad because I made that decision.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And then even me, like, the women was like the hardest, but it's like, I don't want to teach that to my son, you know, I want him to be different. I want him to have a better example. My dad did the best he can, but he was a street dude from Chicago.
Yeah.
And like a hustler, gang leader, who like figured out some stuff and to make it happen, you know, and I saw the good and the bad, but I think luckily I was able to see the bad and use that as an example too. Oh, this is what happens when you take your foot off the gas. This is what happens when you indulge in vices. Like, 'cause he killed himself when I was like 24. It was like just a real wake up call, you know what I'm saying? And 'cause I imagine having that amount of money and losing it all.
Yeah,
That's got to be worse than never having it. I think that might be worse than
it is worse. I actually think about that when people tell us, you know, like, I don't want to do this because I don't want to lose what I got. I'm like, but if you did and you lost it, you're at the same place. But it actually would be worse.
It's worse. And it's like to have something and have it taken away from you now because you've experienced the contrast. I'd imagine it's like, this might be an extreme example, but like if a family member dying versus a family member never existed, right? It's nothing. You don't even know what it's like, you know? You know, when people's parents die when they're like too young to understand it versus when they experience it, it's different, right? Obviously, there's more to it than that, but you know, the contrast is what totally is fucked up.